My house, was built in 1906.
Oh, wow.
I don't think they were thinking about electricity when this house was built. So we call it our EcoCalc tool. It creates that estimate for that specific home. So it's not based on, some ballpark of national estimate. It's, hey, this system in this home, this is what you can expect. To get the benefit, the efficiency, the reduction in carbon from the heat pump, but then have the boiler there for when it's 10 below outside and you need to keep it warm. Mini split style outdoor unit. So it has a side discharge, fairly small footprint.
Yeah, it's this one right here, the Eco Hybrid Dual Fuel System.
Yep.
It's a nice looking system.
Yeah, it's fairly quiet as well.
Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable Trades Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian, and I'm an HVAC business owner here in South Texas. Plenty of good conversations to be had with good people and a lot of good stories that maybe you would relate to. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcast, any other location, please leave us a review. We hope to earn those 5 stars, and I really have fun doing this podcast. I appreciate everybody that watches or listens and makes this what it is. I also want to thank our sponsors that help keep this thing going. Hvacr is our favorite CRM. I've tried different ones until finding Hvacr that kind of controls the chaos that it is running a business and still being in the field and trying to get all the billing, quoting, submitting everything that you need to do outside of the field. And with Hvacr, we do our maintenance contracts, we do our invoicing, our quoting, following up with customers to get reviews. That has helped our business a lot. So check out Hvacr for yourself, see if it helps your business. You get a 2-week free trial and a special discount if you use the link down below. Vito Pro Pack is also a supporter, and I can tell you right now, even though I see a bunch of competitors coming into the field, they are still hands down the best tool bags that you can buy. You won't want to use any other tool bag. And the thing is, they have so many products now that you can find the one that is perfect for you. So make sure to check out Vito Pro Pack at your supply house or go to vitopropack.com. True Tech Tools has a lot of their stuff as well. Go check out their website to make sure that you can find the perfect bag for yourself. You won't regret it. Diversitech is probably in a lot of y'all's vans. I have almost something from all of those brands in my van ever since we've started. Hvacr is a big one for us as far as parts. They usually have something that we would need on a day-to-day basis. They are your one-stop shop for everything HVAC, and they have you covered for your everyday HVAC needs.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Resideo. Pro IQ Services is your edge on every customer call. It's available on Honeywell Home smart thermostats and designed to help HVAC pros turn everyday installs and customer calls into lasting business relationships. From branded visibility and remote configuration and controlled custom system alerts, it's a full-service device that helps pros streamline labor, increase customer loyalty, and generate leads. For more information, please check out resideo.com/proiq. Before the video starts, I just wanted to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Whale McLean, and we're going to be talking about some of the new technology that is coming to hydronic heating, which is like boilers, heat pumps, everything up north where it does get very, very cold. Something we don't see here too often, but I've always been interested and intrigued with some of that stuff that I've been seeing in the past year from Whale McLean and other manufacturers alike. So in today's video, we're going to go over a lot of that, the different trends, the different technologies that have come about to, offer solutions to these problems in certain states with very cold climates. Now, with these trends and demands, you're going to run into these obstacles and you're going to have to find solutions for a lot of those things. So something I've seen personally, and I know a lot of you guys can relate, electrification is accelerating. It's driven by consumer desire to reduce their climate impact, regulatory mandates, rebates and incentives, and volatile energy costs. Full electrification is not really practical for everybody. especially in hydronics. Now, dual fuel solutions combining an electric air-to-water heat pump with a fuel-fired boiler offer many benefits of an electric system without sacrificing comfort, reliability, and affordability. So Weil McLain has been a leading manufacturer of boiler and hydronic solutions for over 140 years. In today's episode, we actually have Conrad, who is the Senior Product Manager, Climate Conscious at Weil McLain, with more than 15 years of experience in HVAC sales, training, and distribution. Conrad will share how Eco HP and Eco Hybrid solutions can help contractors design effective systems and deliver reliable, flexible hydronic heating. So like I mentioned, I'm very intrigued in this kind of stuff that I've been seeing over the past year. And even though it doesn't pertain to the exact region that I'm from, I hope it helps some of you guys up north that deal with this system or type of systems day in and day out. And if you are interested in these new solutions, you can always reach out to Weil McLain themselves. You can register for that webinar. It's a 2-part. I'll leave a link down below. There will also be a link on screen. Go there, register, and learn more about it. So without further ado, enjoy the episode. All right. Conrad, what is up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. Finally got some nice weather up here, so doing good. Sun shining, warm weather. How about you?
Where are you at?
Outside of Chicago.
Chicago, dude. So I'm from Texas. I'm not used to that kind of weather. I went up there once for the AHR Expo. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with that. No?
I'm shaking my head because they always put it in February,
Yes.
and that is quite possibly like the worst time to come up here.
So it's all
beautiful.
Yes, it's alternating, right? So like I went there a couple years ago, right when there was like I guess a storm or something. There was snow everywhere, and it was like ice on the roads, and it's a little sketchy to be out there at that time.
Yeah, I remember going to that show, and it was kind of empty. I think like half the flights got canceled.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people couldn't make it that year. It was I remember it being kind of empty. So
I literally got there last minute because all my flights kept getting delayed. I made it, and I don't think it was as bad as people made it seem to be because I'm from Texas. It's like 90 year round. It's like 110 degrees in the summer. Like I'm used to that kind of weather. And I was like, this is not too bad, but it's because we have a lot of humidity here. So like when it gets cold, even if it's like 50, 40, feels a little bit more because it's usually wet and just everything that hits you at once. And we get weird weather here. So fun time.
I remember,
but I'd rather be there
in Houston, and it just hits you.
Yeah. That's what I tell people. Like when you're here, it's like the temperature can be deceiving, but when it hits you, you feel it. But yeah, it was nice out there. I kind of want to go back out when it's nicer, just to enjoy the city.
Yeah, I'd say aim for like May to September. You'll be good. The rest of the year, you're taking your chances there.
Yeah, I was like, man, because it's coming up again. I think next year HR is going back, and I'm like, do I really want to go? But it's a nice place. Like I enjoyed my time there.
Yeah, no, definitely come up. We'll make sure show you a good time.
Yeah. So you're with Weil McLain. You guys are more into like the hydronics, right? Because like I said, I'm in Texas. It's not something that we see a lot of, but maybe you can kind of give us a little background on maybe that company and then who you are and kind of what you do.
Yeah, so Weil McLain, we're historically a boiler manufacturer, one of the oldest in the country. We make full range of boilers from your standard cast iron that have been around for most of our 150-year history up through your high efficiency, sophisticated, 95% condensing boilers. We also, handle residential and commercial. We have a full line of complementary products, so your indirect water heaters, controls. And then where I fit into the picture is we recently entered the air to water heat pump market. So
okay,
that's kind of an emerging market in hydronics.
I think I had just heard about this from some other manufacturers that were getting into it as well. And it was very, very interesting because it works. It's more, I guess, like a hybrid, or, it does a little bit better in certain scenarios. And we can get into it in a bit, but it sounded very interesting because it doesn't work the way you would think it would.
Yeah. I mean, I think underlying technology, just like, your air to air stuff, but there's a little more complexity when you get into the hydronic side of the business.
Yeah, and that kind of is where I've never worked on that kind of stuff. We don't see boilers here. We don't see hydronics. I'm very fascinated, being online and watching other HVAC techs and other guys. There's guys that primarily only do boilers or whatever it is, like up in the North States, Jersey, all that, that area. And that's all they work on. That's their primary, work and what their business is about and all that. Down here, we have just straight cool. I mean, that's what everybody wants here because it is like so hot. And it's always interesting because, like I said, I talked to some other manufacturers and this new technology that is coming out with the hydronic side is very interesting, and it can be more efficient and just, nicer to use in your home.
Yeah, for sure. I think, there's definitely advantages based on the application. It's something that, we're honestly excited about because you can get efficiencies of, up to, 5.4 COP. So, you're 540% efficient compared to topping out at 95% on your gas boiler. So
yeah, it's a big jump. So on that technology point, how does that work? That what you were talking about right now, the air and water. So we can give a quick explanation of that because, like I said, I think I've talked about it before, but maybe we can kind of go over it with what you guys offer.
Sure. So I'm sure you're familiar with the air-to-air heat pumps or mini splits, right? The principle is the same. So you still have your outdoor unit that's still exchanging, heat with the outdoor air. But then on the inside the home, things are a little bit different. Instead of having, your air handler or, your wall unit for your mini split, we have a heat exchange unit, which basically uses a heat exchanger to transfer that heat or remove the heat to the water that then we're circulating throughout the home to get that out to, the radiators or however we're going to get the heat in the home. So the underlying technology is the same. It's just what we're doing with that heat. We're putting it into the water instead of the air.
Yeah. And no issues with, I would assume, because it's up north, like extreme cold areas or just colder weather in general.
I mean, I think like any heat pump, they perform better under those milder conditions. Yeah. So with hydronics, you actually get a second layer of complexity or, concern where to make sure that you can get the heat out of the radiators, you got to make sure the water you're putting through them is hot enough. And
yeah, we see that on certain type of equipment, right? Because I mostly do refrigeration. Now there is some water cooled or stuff that may pop up in my field because I do a lot of like kitchen refrigeration. So I usually just see air cooled condensers and, smaller units. Sometimes I work on walk-in boxes, so bigger equipment like that. But
yeah,
they also have on some complex systems a water cooled condenser, or you deal with like these smaller like chillers and stuff like that. So you always have to be conscious a little bit about the other side of that, right? Your refrigeration could be top notch, and then it's like, what are you feeding as far as like water temperature into that unit and other issues that come with that, right? Because our water here is like horrible. It always has to be treated and filtered properly because if not, those units won't work. So I do see that on the refrigeration side, not as much, but it's there.
Yeah, I think that water quality piece is critical wherever you go. Once you get into the higher efficiency equipment, bad water it could destroy it literally within a matter of like weeks or months. So same thing, when you're filling those hydronic systems, you got to make sure they're flush treated and that you're protecting that equipment as well with your strainer or some sort of dirt separator. Yeah.
Yeah. And I work with my dad. My dad does hot food side. So like steamers and other type of, I forget all the names of them, but like all the different cooking equipment that relies on water, like to boil or to cook or to steam, those things get destroyed with the water, right? If they're not on top of their filtration and checking all those lines and everything. So I can imagine.
Yeah, I think that's the easy part to overlook. If you're not taking care of the equipment, it's not going to take care of you.
Yeah. So as we push into that kind of that technology and stuff like that, that goes into electrification, decarbonization, and a lot of people are kind of scared of some of that stuff as well, even from homeowners, from what I hear. And everybody has their preference. I always tell people, because it's kind of hard to believe, that here all I see is, and I want to say it's like been this way the past 10 years, is going to electrification, as like, which is funny because Texas is not known for a good grid. Down here we get wiped out every now and then, but they go to electric from gas and stuff like that. So that is like a topic on its own. Everybody going to electric, everybody going to higher efficiency units. And I think that it's a preference, but you're seeing more so with homeowners and just people in general requesting that, or maybe it's more cost effective, right? One way or another, this is kind of the wave, and I think contractors should be on top of like their options and what they can offer.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think there's the pull from the consumer side. I think we're seeing it not just in HVAC, but across different industries with people installing solar, people buying EVs. Those are both growing.
I will say I'm very jealous of a buddy of mine. He's another guy on YouTube that does HVAC, and his home, he gutted it for solar panels. He has like some fancy breaker box, and everything's controlled from his phone. He has all his like super high efficient stuff that he installed himself. And I'm like, man, like I kind of want to do that too, because it's amazing. You can see what you're spending. He's obviously saving a lot of money on his bill now. And that is kind of the new wave. And you never know until you ask your customer, like if you're offering this to homeowners, like you might assume they don't want it, but you'd be surprised how many actually do want to go this route.
Yeah, and I think if you've already made that investment in something like solar, putting in a heat pump is a no-brainer. Take advantage of that electricity you're producing. I think the utility companies are getting less and less generous with their net metering program. So if you can use it yourself, you're going to come out ahead.
Oh yeah. So like I said, that's kind of the wave there, because I've seen it too. Like everybody here had gas, and then everybody now has electric heating. And I mean, here we don't use it as much, so it's not a big deal as far as like their bill and stuff like that. But I've talked to other contractors that do home residential work, and some customers just are afraid to have gas in their home at this point. They want all electric. They have electric furnaces. They have even here, we have electric stoves. Like gas is not as common as it used to be. The only people that I think hold on to gas, like my parents, are people that are old school, and they're like, well, what if something happens? We always have a gas stove to rely on. That's another issue too, is the grid, right? So we've had power outages, but if you can have, a backup generator, your home runs on solar or something like that, like you're kind of prepared in that sense for these other issues that may come about. And, we can get into some of the other stuff there, but like, it's just the way that the world is going.
Yeah, I think, up north, it's maybe a little bit tougher to go that full electric path, just because we are dealing with colder weather. I know the cold climate heat pumps have gotten a lot better over the years.
Well, recently they've claimed they can go like pretty far under zero. So like that is a good change. But obviously, just like I said, people are scared of certain things. Up north, they're more scared of like if that heat pump if they can rely on that heat pump during their coldest weathers.
Yeah. And I think one thing we've really leaned into is a dual fuel approach, to give people that flexibility to pair that heat pump with a boiler and really give them the best of both worlds. So they have the reliability of that heat pump. And so they can make sure that they get the benefit, the efficiency, the reduction in carbon from the heat pump, but then have the boiler there for when it's 10 below outside and you need to keep it warm.
And that's a good point, because dual fuel is a good backup or alternative to just completely going one way or the other, right? Relying too heavily on one side. And then you have this kind of system. So you guys are leaning into that with your products and kind of getting into that market. How long have you guys had those kinds of equipment? I mean, I don't think it's brand new.
No, so we introduced our heat pump. It was about a year ago now. We have units out in the field that have been running for 2-3 years. So we have some good data on they're performing well. People that have them in their homes are happy. And we from day one, since we entered the heat pump market, knew that at least for right now, dual fuel was important. I think that, maybe 5-10 years from now, full electrification is going to be a lot more practical, but I don't think we're there today for a variety of reasons, really.
Well, I can tell you that I worry every year if my electricity is going to be out and how long it's going to be out. We had a freeze a few years ago. Our power was knocked out for at least a week, and that was miserable because we're not used to that kind of cold weather. It was like I think right around 20 degrees or right under that. Again, people up north probably like we live in that every day, but we're not used to that. So that hit us pretty hard. And that's where the electrification, everybody was like, why do we only have electric, right? And that's what's installed here. That's what everybody has gone to, and we rely on it. And then something like that happens and you can't do anything about it. Like there's no other way to get heat in your home or whatever it is, hot water, all that kind of stuff. So yes, I do see the future holding a little bit more of this switch to electric, but it's very difficult. And we've said that for the past few years, like it's very difficult to get there and we
Yeah.
need other solutions, right? So like that's what like a dual fuel can help you with. And I've seen some of the technology out there. Like I said, I go to these trade shows, I kind of walk around and I'm like, man, that is really cool, right? Something that the customer can depend on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, what happened down in Texas was that 2021 was kind of a wake-up call for the entire
Oh, yes.
electric industry. And I think the other part of electrification is the grid in a lot of places isn't ready. I think the utilities now are making huge investments
Yeah.
to get it to a point where it will be, but they're also having to match those improvements and all the maintenance they've deferred for decades with the new demand from data centers and EV charging and
Oh my
everything
god.
else. That's now that they have
Yeah.
to let's throw heating into the mix.
Well,
Things aren't hard enough.
we've been talking about HVAC going that direction, but then in between that, because like you said, we weren't ready for that, like to go full electric. In between that time, when we're trying to figure that out, yes, you had now EVs, you have Teslas and all these other electric vehicles that if I never used to see them here. Now I see them on the road everywhere. So like those need to get charged. Those people put in chargers in their home. You see chargers out at different places, the public chargers, and it's like they're sucking up all that juice, right? And then you see a lot of just new technology. AI is a big thing in the past year, and data centers. We're getting one here now, apparently. So they're popping up everywhere. That's a lot of resources with electric, even with water, and it's you gotta figure it out. So I'm hoping the electric companies and all those plants and everything are kind of investing and getting that up to date. But until then, you still need something else. You still need a little bit of the old school. That's why some people do like relying on gas instead, because it's we have it. It's not going to go down, but that's a resource as well. I mean, I don't know how long we'll be able to do that either.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely transitional technology, but I think it has also the benefit, the dual fuels of making things easier on the grid, because you can tie into the demand signal from that utility. And
Yeah.
if their demand is spiking, you can, shut down your heat pump, switch
Yes.
over to your boiler, and you've shut that load.
That is one of the cool parts, because another thing, because I don't do residential, so I just hear these stories or I talk to people about it. And the other thing is, right, sometimes you get like a deal, I forgot what it's called, incentive to the electric company will send you a T-stat, or I forgot how that program worked, right? But they get control of it. And if the energy is peaking or spiking, and they just, because we always get those notices, right? Hey, can you please turn your AC up to 78 degrees or something crazy, right?
Mhm.
Everybody here likes to have it like at 60 something. So it's funny. Hey, raise it to 78 because we need to conserve energy. Or like I said, some of those programs where they get, incentives or rebates or anything free, it's because they're going to control that thermostat and they're going to shut it off during those peak times, right? So if you just have electric, you don't have that luxury of just switching over to something else. Like you said, you could, with a dual fuel, kind of regulate that. Maybe you don't use that side of it, you use more of the other side, right? The hydronic or whatever it is, and you're excluded from that mayhem of turning off your AC.
Yeah, I mean, for us more so on the heat side, but yeah,
Yeah, the heat.
absolutely. That's the idea behind it. And
Well,
yeah,
that's where I hear it a lot up north is like the heating side, right? Because like here it's like we're hot all the time, but up north you guys are freezing all the time. So it does benefit a lot of the northern states a lot during those times where it gets really cold. So I mean, we're kind of leaning on the benefits of dual fuel there, and it's efficient. You can kind of rely on more one side than the other if any issues arise, like with the grid or anything like that. Do you think that that is going to be the solution? Like going forward right now, or where do you see that in the mix of this electrification push?
Uh, I think it's going to be, a little bit like site dependent at the end of the day. I think, new homes, you can design a system that's going to work well and probably let you fully electrify from day one. But when you're walking into an older home that has, radiators that were installed in the 1940s, they weren't thinking about heat pumps back then. My house, was built in 1906. I,
Oh
you
wow.
know, I, the I don't think they were thinking about electricity when this house was built. So,
Yeah,
uh,
that's crazy because I thought this house was old. This was from like the 70s or something.
so yeah, it's good. It's going to be a little bit harder to get a house like this ready for an all electric solution. But a newly built home or something that was built around radiant floors or low temperatures, it's going to be a lot easier. So it's going to come down to where you live, what's your house. It's going to be the right solution for the right house. I think, like with anything else.
I mean, that's always the case, right? You have older buildings and you're trying to retrofit, but if you have a newer building, you can kind of work around the equipment and stuff like that. So it'd be nice to, now that it's on the market, you can install it on newer homes, right? Go that
Mhm.
route, right? That way you have that option. So do you think that's why, maybe some contractors out there should be looking at these products because they can now readily install that in their new installs, either a new home or like a change out or anything like that.
Yeah. I think back to, I started in the industry right as mini splits were becoming popular.
I
And
installed a mini split like a long time ago, like over 10 years ago, and I didn't know what it was. We were just putting one in because the customer wanted something in their kitchen area. And I was like, okay. And then like years later, it's a thing. I'm like, oh, okay. So that was something new that kind of took over the market because now you see them everywhere.
yeah, no, I love that you tell that story because that's exactly what I saw. I was on kind of like the online retail side of the business back then. And I swear the only reason we survived was because so many homeowners wanted mini splits and there were not nearly enough contractors who were familiar with them. And
Yeah,
I,
now
you know, I,
everybody slaps them in. They got these DIY ones now.
Yeah. And I swear I feel like we're in that same moment for the air to water heat pump. We're starting to see that demand among consumers. And I think for contractors, like this is an opportunity to offer something that, your competition isn't. And the other opportunity I see is, previously you had a homeowner with a cast iron boiler. The only thing you could do was go in there and, clean the thing once a year. Now you have an opportunity to say, do you want to put a heat pump in next to this and get the benefits of reducing your emissions, reducing your fuel usage? It kind of creates an installation opportunity there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you have the option, and I think contractors should take advantage again if it's your region because the funny thing with HVAC is every region is different. So we might not need that here, or we might not see boilers here or hydronics, but up north, I think they should be taking advantage of, hey, now we have this kind of equipment to offer or install from the get go. Or like you said, we usually hate the word selling around here, but it's something you can offer because I always tell people like, you don't have to be pushing sales,
Mhm.
anything forcing the customer, but you don't know until you ask them, right? So you could bring it up to them. Hey, we could offer you this efficient option, or like you said, reduce your carbon footprint there and put in a heat pump or put in whatever options that you can offer. And you don't know until you ask the customer because then they could be all on board. Like, yeah, that sounds great. Put that in, do that, whatever. And that's something extra that you can offer when, like you said, you were just there to do a cleaning.
Yeah. And I think especially if you're in a home or a customer is using propane, oil, or electric for heating, this is just going to be an immediate cost savings for them. And they are real and significant savings, especially when compared against kind of like your non-natural gas.
Which is crazy because I just saw a video, somebody actually doing the math on, some of these higher efficient systems, right? They were doing like it was just a heat cool, wasn't hydronic, but just doing the math on it. And he's like, I have these two houses right next to each other. One has 20, 30-year-old system. One has a brand new one we just installed, high efficiency, all that. And he did the math on it because he was getting all his power factor, kilowatt, everything. And he's like, this customer pays like $2,000 within a certain month period. This customer pays like $600. He's like, what do you want? What do you want to pay on your bill, right? So all that comes into effect when you tell these customers that. And it'd be nice if you could offer, some data or some insights on what exactly they're going to see, because that is always going to be the selling point, right? It's like, okay, cool, I'm saving money. Is it going to be just pennies, a day? Like, what is the actual savings there? So it's always good to do your research or get data, talk to your manufacturer, ask them, any questions that you would have. That way you can present that to your customer and provide these either results or just facts that they can make a decision on, because everybody wants to save money, and that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, one of the things that we've been working on over the past kind of year and a half is putting together a tool that can help contractors with that conversation. When they're having that conversation with the homeowner at the kitchen table, give them a real site-specific data that they can share with their homeowners of how are your operating costs going to change? How much are you going to reduce your fuel usage? If they are more of like that, climate concerned customer, how much are you going to reduce your carbon emissions? So we've built we call it our HVAC tool. It creates that estimate for that specific home. So it's not based on, some ballpark of national estimate. It's, hey, this
Yeah.
system in this home, this is what you can expect.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would rather know, like, for that system what they can save, right? Not the national average or anything like that. Because every region is different. Some climates are hotter, some climates are colder, some get down to some ridiculous negative numbers, some don't. So it depends on where you're at. So you guys have that calculator, right? Is that something that you offer publicly, or is that something they have to ask for?
Right now, we are kind of sharing it with specific partners. If it's something that you're interested in, you can certainly reach out and we can probably get it in your hands. We're still making sure that we're happy with the data that it's giving us. So far, it's been fairly accurate, but just doing some final tweaks, make sure it's, usable, easy to understand, also put it in a format that's easy for a contractor to share with that homeowner and let them see and make that decision. It's, I think reach out and ask and we'll get it to you. It's not generally available just yet.
But that's a good thing to know, and you guys are working on it. That's good to know. Because like I said, just randomly, I think I saw it yesterday, that video, and I was like, that's cool, because that's just presenting, these facts and data to the customer, not fear mongering or, scare tactics or anything like that. It's just like, hey, this is what it could save you. This is what, what we see the savings being for your home in general. Would you like to proceed, or what do you want to do, right? Do you want to continue to spend so much money on your electric bill? Do you want to save on your electric bill? Get a new system. I know new systems are not generally cheap right now, but that is just the state of the world. Everything is very expensive right now. Then you can figure out if that investment and the cost savings will work out or balance itself out or save you money over time. Because hopefully, I don't want to, like, that system should last you a very long time. I know they don't make things like they used to, but maintained properly and taken care of, that thing should last you forever.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Definitely that maintenance point you touched on is critical. We talked about the water quality earlier. That's an important facet. But yeah, we expect these systems to last for a long time. I think it's another benefit of that dual fuel solution too, is you're sharing the load between two pieces of
Oh,
equipment.
yeah.
So you're kind of reducing the wear and tear there a little bit as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, because the wear and tear is not on just one component or one thing. It's going to be balanced or used more on one side. So it should technically last a lot longer. So the dual fuel, is that what you see as like the bridge right now or the bridge solution till we get to full electrification?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great solution for today until, the grid is where it needs to be. I think there's still a little bit of room left on the technology side, and part of that is being influenced by, regulation and what types of refrigerants we're allowed to use. So I think as that evolves, the technology gets a little bit better, the grid is, a little more stable, and we kind of figured out how to handle all this new demand. I think we'll be ready for full electrification. But for today, I think dual fuel is a great option for most homes. Obviously, if you have the right system in the right climate, going full electric is a great option too.
Now, you guys offer residential and commercial?
So on the heat pump, it's primarily residential today. We are working on a commercial solution. So, there's a very good chance that'll be coming here in the future, but not available yet.
So where
As far
do
as
you
our boilers, both.
Okay, boilers both, but the heat pump you're working on it. Where do you guys distribute this? Like I've never seen these, or maybe it's just my area.
So we are working to get the units into distribution. They're not in distribution today.
Okay.
We work with, a wide range of distributors, throughout the country. Obviously, your big guys like, I don't want to drop names. I don't want to make anybody angry, but
That's fine.
yeah, I think we have a distributor locator on our site that can help you to find where you can get the units from. If your distributor doesn't have it, we have our shipping and logistics team. They are ready to turn these things around in 48 hours and get them on a trucks. Shouldn't be hopefully holding up any jobs, and we can get them out to wherever they need to be.
Yeah, I was pulling them up. They look nice. The aesthetics is always another factor for people too. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the nice thing is, unlike something like a mini split, we're not doing people's homes. This is all going down into the mechanical room. Likely you're hanging that indoor unit next to the boiler, so probably won't see that. And then it's a mini split style outdoor unit, so it has a side discharge, fairly small footprint.
Yeah, it's this one right here, the Eco Hybrid Dual Fuel System.
Yep.
It's a nice looking system.
Yeah, it's fairly quiet as well, so shouldn't be causing any problems with your neighbors.
Oh, I know, right? Because some of those systems, when you hear them start up, it's like annoying as hell. But that's another thing, right? People always talk about the quietness, you don't even hear it turn on most of the time, and you don't even know it's running. So that's always good. I mean, I have the website pulled up. I'm going to probably leave that down below as well. But like, where can contractors learn more? Like, should they just hit up the website? Is there any way to contact you guys?
Yeah, hit up the website. On that page, there is a contact us form that actually finds its way right to my inbox. So if you have any questions, feel free to fill it out. I'll be, follow up pretty quickly. We're also doing a webinar next month, May 21st and 28th. That'll be covering just high level, talk a little bit more about the solution, who it's for, some sales, some things we've learned from the installations that we've had and what resonates with homeowners, what are some of the benefits for contractors. And then the second session is really going to be more focused on the application. So what homes does this work well in? How do you pipe it? How do the controls work? And also dive into that EcoCalc tool to kind of walk you through how do you fill it out? How do you interpret the information it gives you? How can you evaluate different scenarios, things like that?
So you guys will be demoing that there. That'd be cool.
Yep.
All right. So the webinar, and you said that form will go straight to you. So you're the one handling that.
It lands in my inbox. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But that'd be nice. I might have to check out that webinar as well, because I'm very interested in seeing what best practices there are, but also kind of interested in that calculator too.
Absolutely.
So is everything out or available? I know you said you're working on distributors, but is everything released right now, or are you guys still working on some
available stuff? No, it's like I said, it released. Actually, we did kind of like a soft release last spring. So it's been available, for a year and roughly, and we've been, we've had some projects out in the field, but we're ready to step on the gas, and it's in our most recent price book that just came out and available for purchase.
All right, cool. Let me just look over something real quick. Was there anything else you wanted to cover here?
No, I appreciate the time. It's a product we're excited about. It's a product I'm personally excited about because I think that, the hydronic industry hasn't changed much in probably a couple decades. I think the
No,
last
not
major
from what
shakeup
I've.
was high efficiency boilers.
Yeah, no, I was like,
So
not from what I've seen. I love watching the guys that work on it and what they do and all the even the maintenance and just these repairs that they do, and it's fairly been the same for a while, but now I have seen a shift in all sorts of like hydronics or water based solutions, right? Because like our guest house has what do you call it? Oh my god, we have a water heater, a tankless water heater, right? And I had never seen that before. That's new to me because we don't see those
Mhm.
here. So just all the new technology that's coming out right now is for the hydronics has been interesting to watch. And now you're seeing it in like the HVAC space with the systems that you guys offer. And I've seen it. I've been interested in it, and it's cool to see how it works with the hydronic side, the air side, the water side, like all that kind of stuff. So very exciting stuff, I can say.
It's an industry that's been around for 150 plus years, and
Tried
I
and
think
true.
we're at the the next phase.
Yeah.
We're starting moving to the next phase of it here.
And just be prepared as a contractor or technician, right? Because you're gonna start seeing this stuff. It's the next wave. It's the next technology in my area, in my space, because I do more refrigeration. Like we saw old school for the longest time, right? Valves and just straight cooling, and now you see boards. Now you see electronics, things that require certain voltage or pulses or any inputs or outputs. Like all that stuff has been new to us in the past few years. The only way I stay ahead of it is to learn about this stuff, right? Learn about everything coming out, all the new technology, what's common in your area, what people are installing, what your customers want. I mean, I think that's the most important part too, right? You as a contractor, you have another option now, right? Here with Whale McLean and all the new equipment that they've had. And that's always the thing, because what keeps us, and I'm just talking to technicians and contractors, what has helped us is knowing that stuff and learning that stuff, because I get to calls and another company can't figure it out, and it's just a program, or it's something with this new technology that we have, and that helps you stand out and helps you get more business and stuff like that. So I've seen it on my side. I see it now with the hydronics. Just be ready, because like when we first got all the electric heat here and we went to everybody installing just electric heat, it's funny because I got called out and it's like, hey, my heater's not working. I go up because I work on rooftop units strictly, and I'm looking for the heat. Okay, the gas has been disconnected. It looks like they went with an electric unit, this and that. Pull it open and there's no heat strips installed. And I have to go tell the customer, like, I don't know who installed this, but they forgot to put the heaters in. And then and it's already been like that for a while. So then I gotta go and like buy some and charge them for it. So just be ready, because like any transition, it falls on the technicians, the installers, and the contractors.
Yeah, and I'll just say, as a company, Weil McLean, we're here to help. I think show up to that webinar. We have a great team out in the field. You have questions, they're ready there to help. We have a great tech services team that can, pick up the phone, help you out during install. So we're here to help. We're here to try to make that transition as clean and easy as possible, because this is something new, especially I think from the control side is where we've seen a little bit of a hiccup here and there. I think on the mechanical installation, like it's been straightforward. It's a lot of skills that they're able to technicians are able to bring from either previous boiler installations, mini split installations, etc. Controls are a little bit different, and we're working to make that as simple as possible. But we're also here to help and support.
And that's good to know. Tech support, or just a company that backs their equipment by answering questions, huge deal. Because, you're out in the field, you've never seen it before, and you're trying to call for help. I've had this instance with, like certain ice machine manufacturers. Like I call, they tell you to leave a name and number to call back. And then like the next day or like later that night, they call you, and I'm like, not in front of that unit anymore, man. I can't tell you what it's doing right now. So tech support is important. So if you guys have that, if you guys have, like you said, people out in the field that you see real world scenarios or issues, and you can help, the techs out there that are installing this stuff or just troubleshooting. Because that's another reason I call tech support, is just to get information. Like, I might be really good at diagnosing something, but hey, I've never seen this before. So then
Right.
I call tech support and they're like, it's just this or that. And they can kind of guide you through it. Or they tell you, hey, that's obsolete, or that didn't work out. We're going to replace it with like something else. Like, we're going to use a different kind of sensor or a different kind of whatever. And it's like, oh, I would have never known that if I didn't call tech support. So it's always good to call the manufacturer to get you. And that's what I'm trying to tell my new guys, because we've hired a bunch of guys right now, and one of them is, well, they're all great, but one of them has always called tech support, and I'm like, there is no shame in calling tech support. They will guide you, and you might learn more through them, the more technical stuff that we didn't know because maybe we've never seen that before. And there's no shame in calling tech support. So I would highly encourage anybody to call any manufacturer that they work on, and you guys have your tech support team over there, and I'm sure that they help a lot of guys out.
Yeah. We have a great group that's out in Indiana. They have all the products like ready to go in case, they could be basically looking at the same boiler you are. So,
oh, that's awesome. I've heard that before, and I'm like, that's great. Because then, like, sometimes I'm trying to explain something, and I'm like, sometimes you got to be there or be in front of it to understand what I'm talking about. Any final words or messages for contractors out there trying to prepare themselves for the future, or just in general with the kind of equipment like the dual fuel or anything beyond that?
yeah, I mean, I think, like I said earlier, I think you're kind of at the start of something new here. I think that, we've seen, forced air move to heat pumps outselling furnaces for the past 5 years. We're obviously not there on the hydronic side yet, but I think we're at the beginning of that transition. We're kind of catching up to what the rest of the world has already been doing for a little while here. I recognize it's new. That's why we're here to support. We're here to train. Come out to that webinar next month. We'll, kind of get you started on that journey, and then reach out if you have any questions. Like I said, we're here to support you, help you make that as easy as possible.
Yeah, and I think you hit that right on the head there, because you can compare it to like when mini splits came out or heat pumps came out, right? That was the new thing that is now taking over. And I think that you're going to see the same with this kind of technology for the northern states. So there are places that strictly want heat pumps, and I've talked to contractors, like certain places will want certain ways to do their HVAC, right? I had only seen one, I didn't know what they were, and then all of a sudden they're everywhere. And heat pumps, I never used to see them here. I'm starting to see them even on the commercial side, and everywhere you look online, it's heat pump, heat pump, heat pump. Like, that's what they're pushing. So it's all about efficiency. It's all about decarbonization. It's all about like everything that goes into that technology to help you out, and you're going to start seeing it. I started hearing about this probably about a year ago, this kind of equipment from you and other manufacturers, and it seems like everybody's on board with it. So we're going to see it. I appreciate you for taking the time. It was cool hearing about the company and what they offer and what you guys think about this new technology and transition and change. But great conversation.
No, thank you for having me on, and, come back out to Chicago, maybe try to avoid February,
Yeah.
but,
I mean,
either way, we'll,
I'll be there for the trade show. Do you guys, I'm assuming, I think I've seen you guys around there, right?
but yeah, I think this past year was our 80th year attending AHR.
Wow.
I was a little
Probably
blown away
since,
by that too.
yeah, I was gonna say probably since the beginning then, because I know they've been around for a while. All right, man, cool. I'll have to stop by and kind of look at the stuff. I know I've seen you guys often. It's just I don't think I've ever stopped at the booth, so I'll be sure to do that in Chicago.
Absolutely.
All
Look
right,
forward to it.
everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.